Greetings, Thompson School District community. My name is Marc Schaffer, your proud superintendent. This month, I am on location with our Thompson School District Board of Education as we tour schools throughout the Thompson School District. We'll be interviewing two of our board members and talking to them about their experiences on this tour. So enjoy this month's segment of On Location. Well, hello. Today I am joined by Board of Education members Stu Boyd and Barbara Kruse. We are excited to welcome them for this month's segment of On Location. Barb, we're going to start with you as our Board of Education president. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
I am a former teacher of the district. I taught for 30 years within the district and did some additional work as well. My own children graduated from the schools here in Thompson, so I have a great passion for what happens within the district.
Thank you. And Stu?
Yeah, my name is Stu Boyd. I'm Berthoud's representative on the Thompson School Board. I'm actually a product of the Thompson schools, as are my children. I taught at Berthoud High and served as an administrator for 35 years. And after retiring, I subbed and did some mentoring in the district. And I'll say just quickly, it's been a pleasure for me to serve with Barb because we've known each other and been friends for probably more than 30 years. And that friendship began when we both served as curriculum specialists in the school district.
Members of our viewing audience may not know what does a Board of Education member do? So what are some of the roles and responsibilities of a Thompson School District board member?
Well, my district is District F, which is the east side of the district. And so I try to listen to what's happening within my district, get a feel for the tone, the concerns of the membership as well. Also, the participation in the district committees, all of the pieces that we are involved in help us to get a really deep understanding of what's happening within our district.
And I guess I would answer the question by saying that I hear from members of my director district quite often, either via phone call or email or even sometimes personal encounters. I enjoy that a lot. And I spend a good share of my time between board meetings reading, not just reading information that the school district provides in regard to agenda items, but other items that are related to things that we're talking about. So it's people have said, how much time do you spend? It's a little hard to actually quantify that, but I would say being a school board member is certainly a part-time job.
So one of the really neat things that the Board of Education recently has had an opportunity to do is join me on our school walkthroughs, visits throughout the schools here in the Thompson School District. So we've had opportunities to visit elementary, middle, and high schools, and actually all 7 members have had the opportunity to visit. At just a very high level, what have been some of your takeaways? What are some of the things that you observed upon visiting some of our schools here in the district?
Well, I think the thing that I've noticed almost instantly is the tone within the schools. The fact that everybody's so relieved to be back and learning and very engaged. The students are highly focused on the task that they've been asked to do. If we go around and visit with them, they can share exactly what it is and why they're doing it. They seem happy, even if they were having to wear their masks for a while. Now, it's just made a big difference for them. Interaction with peers, all of that piece.
Barb and I actually did one visit together. We went to Turner Middle School together, and it was very interesting to go into the innovation lab to see all of the different pieces of equipment that are there, particularly things dealing with physics and the use of water in physics. 2 of the visits I did recently that were particularly interesting and impactful, and I'm going to start with my visit with board member Alexandra Lessam. Actually, she was with me, I think, in both of the ones I'm going to talk about. We were at Carey Martin Elementary, and the entire walkthrough was conducted by 2 students, a 4th grader and a 5th grader. And the principal, Della Buckman, was there, but she was very much in the background. And both of the girls had clipboards And as we moved from part of the building to part of the building, sometimes stopping in front of bulletin boards, sometimes going into classrooms and then coming back out, then they would tell us some of the things that we had seen. And they did an excellent job of answering our questions. I was pretty amazed that 2 upper elementary students knew as much about their school, about their Project Lead the Way, which is one of the focus areas of that school, and that was great. The other visit I want to talk about just very briefly was at Berthoud Elementary. And actually, I said I was with Alexandra Lessem. I was with Don Kirk on this. There had been some kind of a furnace malfunction. And so the teachers and kids in most of the building were in coats. Some of them were in hats, in gloves, in mittens, etc. But learning was definitely going on. And when we walked into 2 of the classrooms, teachers said, sorry, it's really cold in here, but we're doing what we need to do to make sure that school goes on. And they certainly were.
Barb, not to put you on the spot, but was there maybe a particular visit or something that you experienced specifically that maybe stuck with you?
Well, I think as I visited each level. So I had several elementaries, a middle school, and a high school. And I think the middle school that I visited was Comball. And knowing that we're going to be engaging in some changes in that building, I was really engaged in watching the students, the teachers, their interaction, and the fact that they're very innovative and willing to try unusual styles of learning for the kids, really working at trying to meet all needs of those students. So that one really stood out to me as well. And then as far as the elementary, Garfield was a highlight because we happened to be visiting on Art of the Heart. It was a piece that they had, and all kids were engaged in an activity of some sort. And because it's a Lisa school, it was obvious that they were really focusing on helping those kids make a connection to their heart and art and the learning that was going on. And it was a fun day to be observing. And you saw from a structured situation to a very fun art situation, but the kids were loving it all.
As superintendent, it's really important that I get out into schools often to really see firsthand really the celebrations and opportunities here in the school district. But why do you think, as a school board member, it's important for you as board members to be in the buildings as well?
It gives us a whole refreshing insight as to what our job really is. Our job is with making sure the kids are happy and learning and engaged in what's going on. It's their learning that is the key. So it gives us an opportunity to go in and see that in action and to know what focus we might need to change to, or what concerns there might still be that we have to address. So it's key in what our role is as a board member.
I think, in addition to what Barb said, I think it's a way that we demonstrate our presence in the community. I think it's important that teachers, building administrators, cafeteria workers, our custodial crews, et cetera, that they know that we're out and about, that we're interested in what's going on, and interested in more than just what's happening in the classroom, which is, of course, our main duty, our main function as board members. But as I said, to be able to engage with some of the people in support roles and to let them know what an important part of the Thompson School District team they are.
So both of you are not only current board members, but you're also former educators, and you've each been in your own classrooms for a number of years. As former educators and having that lens, what ahas did you have? What did you see or notice from an instructional standpoint that just created an aha moment for you?
I think what I've observed, whether it was pre-COVID or now, is that the social and emotional needs of the kids are really still at a pretty high level. There's a high level of need for those kids. And over the years, kids have changed, and these kids have reached a point where we really have to be there to support them in all aspects of their education. Um, our community has changed, so we have to be there to support them in that piece of it as well.
I don't know if I would necessarily call this an aha moment. It's kind of a reinforcement of what I knew and maybe had kind of forgotten about by not being in the classroom all the time. And that is the quality of instruction that goes on in Thompson School District schools from elementary through middle school and high school. The variety of teaching strategies and techniques that I saw in my school visits, the excitement of the kids, particularly when they were involved in collaborative kinds of activities, and also the excitement and the genuine caring and concern that came from the teachers, from the principal, and as I mentioned before, walking around the building and talking with some of the support staff, the caring that is part of that too. People who work in a school truly are a team, and the beneficiaries of that team effort are our kids, which is the way it should be.
So as board members, you have meetings twice a month where we conduct our business. How have these building visits maybe informed your perspective on one of the items or something that we've been discussing recently here in the Thompson School District?
One of the things that I think is obvious to us is budget needs still. Always will be issues maybe perhaps still occurring in a building that we need to be able to think about, or crowdedness or space, or are we using the buildings in a way that is the best use of the buildings? Those are possibilities. I also see that it's always fun during our committee reports to be able to share to the community that we've been out in those schools and highlight some of the pieces that we've seen.
I guess what occurs to me is kind of goes back to the idea that everything that we're doing directly or indirectly benefits our students. And a few months ago, we decided that we really needed to take a more careful look at our anti-bullying policy. And particularly with the stresses and concerns that have been related to COVID and the COVID protocols, I think being in the buildings has really reinforced to me how important it is that our kids feel safe emotionally, as Barb referred to, physically, etc. And for that reason, I think that's made an impact, particularly in regard to this one specific issue of why I believe our policy, our direction is so important.
Barb and Stu, this brings us to the last question. Any additional thoughts or reflections, anything you'd like to share with our viewing audience as a result of our building walkthroughs together? Any final comments?
I think the biggest thing is that it just tells us how well we're doing, how well and hard the schools are working, but it also helps us get an understanding of their needs. And those needs come across in those visits, whether it's curriculum support, whether it's financial support in some aspect, or whether it's just any other type of leadership need or concern that they have. And it just gives us that piece to connect with them.
I think something that I've noticed in several walkthroughs with Dr. Schaffer, as well as a couple of three that I've done recently with Dawn Huckabee, who's our Chief Academic Officer, is how our district leadership lights up when they're around kids. And that's very important to me, both as a former educator and as a citizen. I want the people who are in charge of our school district to be kid-oriented people, to be interested in what they're doing and actually to light up when they have the opportunity to be around kids.
Barb and Stu, thank you so much for spending time with us today on location. And thank all of you for viewing. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing about our Board of Education walkthroughs here in our schools here in the Thompson School District. And again, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.